All right, well, welcome. We meet again here on a video. This is video number 2 in my new video series, The Honest Real Estate Agent. And we're going to be talking about your first day as a realtor. And that's the slide right here. So welcome. Thanks for joining me here on video number 2. And look forward to working together on this. We'll kind of roll up our sleeves and we'll kind of go at it. Now, the journey that we'll take together, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email's right there. You can check me out on my website, my book, which is available on Amazon, The Honest Real Estate Agent, my podcast, also The Honest Real Estate Agent, available on iTunes, and then I'll be doing future videos. So feel free to email me. Feel free to post any comments here on the video. And if you need additional help, check out my website because I am now offering coaching services, and I'll be happy to help you in that capacity. Now I want to review some of the items that I talked about in the first video. The first one is, why do people buy? Why is somebody going to choose you to be their realtor? Well, it's really very simple. They like you, they trust you, and you have the expertise to help them. And that is the perfect fit. Now, if you don't have the expertise and you want to chase the business and you want to work outside of your normal area, I know a lot of you might be new. That's great. If you want to put in the extra hustle, put in the extra study time to learn a different market, by all means, go after it. But if you don't feel comfortable, you can always refer the business to another agent and get a referral fee. And I talked about that in the first video. The next thing I want to talk about here is how to get people to like you. And again, very intuitive. Be yourself, be confident. You want to find that common ground with your new customer and be a professional. Really, again, very simple. Be yourself, be confident. People like working with realtors who are confident and know what they're doing. The next slide here, how to get people to trust you. Again, very intuitive. You are honest, you have integrity, you care about your customers, you ask good questions, and then you listen. You don't blabber over them, especially when you're meeting them for the first time and you're doing like a buyer meeting or you're doing a listing presentation. Ask good questions and listen. Very, very important. Now, what I want you to focus on when you're new, and this is something I did not cover in the first video, definitely talked about it, but when you're new, you need to build your expertise. Knowledge is power. You're brand new. You're new to the market, maybe you moved into the area. You've got to study. Knowledge is power. You have to take CE classes. You have to learn about property valuation. Make sure you understand all the contracts. When you're new, preview, preview, preview. If you're not working with a lot of buyers and you're not out seeing a lot of property, go out and preview property. Some areas, they do like a weekly preview and everybody goes out from the office and they go look at all the new listings. If your office doesn't have that, then go out and do it on your own. Just basically schedule it like a tour. You say it's a preview. You're looking at it for some potential buyers. But then you go look at the properties the same way a buyer would. Take notes. Understand what the issues are when you're out looking at properties. And what I always do when I'm out looking at properties, I always remember one distinctive, unique feature about a house. And that'll jog my memory when I talk about that house in the future. Like, oh yeah, that's the house that had the pink bathroom tiles. Or that's the house that backed to the railroad tracks. Or that's the townhouse that had 3 floors and had the kitchen on the second level. Whatever unique features that you can remember from each property is going to help you jog your memory when you're going to talk about those properties. Now, the value of doing all these previews is that the first time you meet with a buyer and you're talking about the area, and the buyer says, yeah, I'm kind of interested in these 4 or 5 properties. And you can say, hey, you know what? I've seen those properties. I know exactly, what they offer. And that, again, is going to give you credibility. Know your market. That's really very, very simple. And that's where you got to build your expertise, especially when you're new. Now it's the first day and you're in your office. What do you do? I mean, it's very overwhelming because there's so much that you have to do to get going. And what I say is just get into motion. Take it day by day. Have a plan. Break it into sections. Don't try to build, you're not going to build a house in one day. It's like if you're on a weight loss program, you're not going to lose 10 pounds in one day. You're going to lose 10 pounds over a month, whatever it may be. And it's the same thing here when you're a new realtor. Just take it day by day. It is overwhelming. Don't be a deer in the headlights, but just get into motion and start doing something. Now, the first tasks that you can do, number one, you want to build your database. You want to build your database with your sphere of influence. You want to build a mailing list. You want to build your contact management list. And you want to keep adding people to the database. So very, very important to start building your database. Now, maybe some of you are listening to this and you haven't started your first day in the office. Start building your database on your own. The bigger and the more quality you can get in your database is really going to help you. Now, talking about sphere of influence, what is it? Your sphere of influence is everyone you know. So basically, people you went to high school with, college with, your previous work colleagues, friends, family, and then also you can get family and friends from your family and friends. So you have a brother and sister, and you get all their friends and put them into your database. And then when you're building your mailing list, you can get the addresses from public records. So you're a realtor, you have access to your MLS. As a part of my MLS, I know I have public records, and you can look up people by their last name and their first name. And if they already own a property, then you can get their mailing list. The other thing that I think could be helpful is when you're building your sphere list, you can categorize them. And you can categorize them like people that you really know can be your A's, acquaintances can be B's, C's are like basically everybody you know, and then D might be people that fall out and don't want to be a part of your database. Now, I think it's also very helpful when you're categorizing your sphere to try to identify who you think are going to be your champions, who are going to be your sponsors, because these people, they are going to go above and beyond what most normal people do when they're talking you up as a new realtor. So really try to cultivate, identify who are your champions, who are your sponsors. And when you're building your list, be really sensitive to what I feel. It's a question quantity versus quality, but I'm really a big believer in quality, trying to build a good quality database, especially when you're new, because these are the people that are going to help you. And as your career progresses, then you can build bigger databases based on geographic farms or geographic areas, but initially, I would really focus in on quality. Now, some of you might say, well, do I really have to do this? Do I really have to build a database? Well, you do. You really have to do this. All the top agents that I know personally, people I've talked to in my podcast, all of these top agents, they all have databases. So it's really, really important. You have to do this. Now, one question you might have is, what software do I use? You'll hear the CRM, people will talk about that, and customer relation management. And for me, I'm a big believer when you're new, keep it simple and use as many free tools as you can. Because what happens is that we get killed as realtors on all these deals. They're like 15, 30 bucks a month. And what happens is you start doing like 10 of those deals, that's $300 a month. And over a year, that's a good chunk of money. When you're starting out or when you're breaking into new territory, maybe kickstarting your marketing program again, you want to maintain profitability. It's very important to focus on what tools you can get for free because, like I said, it adds up when you start doing all these deals for $15 to $30 a month. I've used Google Contacts for years to be able to store the email, store the first name and the last name, and that keeps my email list. And then within the Google Contacts, you can break it into groups. So then you can categorize your more important people in your database and your sphere, and you can break it in, like I said, into groups. I would just build my phone numbers through your smartphone. I mean, all of us now have pretty sophisticated smartphones. Even the flip phones, they're going to have a phone directory. Put all the phone numbers there. Again, free. Your address, for your direct mailing list, I would use Excel. And that's what I use. I just go right across from the left to the right. I do name one, name two, address one, address two, city, state, zip, and that's it. And I can then upload that Excel spreadsheet to the printer that I use to do my direct mail campaigns. And nowadays, like when I first started, you had to print out all these labels and take the labels and put them on your newsletter or put them on your postcard and then put the stamp. I mean, my goodness, that was brain damage. And so nowadays, it looks really nice. You can work with a printer, upload my address, do my postcard, they do the postage, boom, and they mail it out for me. Now, in the future, for your email list, and this is what's good about using Google, is that you could export your email list into some of these email programs like MailChimp. And MailChimp is free. If you want to see an example of what I send out to my clients on MailChimp, it's really, really cool. You can put in your picture on the right. It looks very, very professional. You have all the names in the database. It'll be, hello, Bob. How are you doing? And then you got the email. You can put in pictures in the email. Really, really good stuff nowadays. Okay, now trying to stick to the slides. I'm trying not to go off in any tangents. So, Jannatpour, stick to the slides. That's what I'm saying to myself. Now, one of the other tasks that you can do starting out is to update all your social profiles. And I have a list here of all the biggies today from Facebook all the way down to Pinterest. Go in to all of your social media profiles and update your information that you're now working for this real estate company. Update your email if your email's changed. If you can put in a phone number, put in a phone number, and then go ahead and just get all the basics covered in all of these ID profiles. Now, Google, don't forget Google as a website also has its own ID, which is separate from Google+. So get your Google ID loaded as well. The other task you need to do is you need to set up your blog and website. And there's a lot of options available here to get a blog and a website. Again, keep it simple. Free is always the best. And for me, I think it's best to use WordPress.org. and that is a really good solution now. And why do I recommend WordPress.org? And here it is. Very easy to use, minimal cost. There are a lot of plugins available to enhance your site. WordPress is Google friendly, and WordPress is also mobile and tablet friendly. Automatically reformats for the mobile devices. Again, which is really cool. I've had previous websites years ago, and it did not reformat for the mobile or for the tablet computers, and it just, your website looks like garbage. So with the WordPress, it automatically does that. Now the next slide here, again, a continuation of why WordPress.org. And I recommend WordPress.org over WordPress.com. And you can research that and you can see the differences. So everything I'm talking about here is specific to WordPress.org. The blog is going to look like a website and a blog, which is, again, a really nice feature nowadays. If you look at my website, move2calo.com, that's my Realtor website, and I'm just doing that through, that one I'm doing through WordPress.com. I made a mistake. I wish I'd done it through WordPress.org. If you look at my generic website that I do for my book and my podcast and this kind of stuff here, MARIOJANN.com, that is a WordPress.org website, which again is pretty cool. It's very easy to add content, easy to do a blog post with text, easy to load pictures, easy to post videos and like YouTube videos, and you can see that through my website. The best part about all of this is that you can do it yourself. You don't have to hire somebody. You don't have to pay $5,000 to pay somebody to do a website. And there's a lot of online resources available. You don't need an IDX with your website when you initially start, unless you're starting out as a big team and you've got a lot of resources and you can afford to do that. And an IDX is basically an internet data exchange, which allows people to see listings through your website. But you're competing at that level with all the big companies, the Zillows, the Trulias. All the big real estate companies have their own websites, Realtor.com. Everybody goes out there to look at the listings. But what I'm finding is that when they need a realtor, they're going to look for us through Google. And that's where having a content-rich WordPress website blog, you're going to come up in your geography and your market. Now, some of you might say, well, do I really even need a website? You do. You do need a website. You do need a blog. You do need a website. That is the hub of your marketing. Everything that you do, you want to have it point to your website. Your business card, the mailings that you do, anything you might have on all your social media profiles, everything you want to point it to your website. And then the other good tool that you can do in the future when you do some online marketing, you can create landing pages specific to that ad that maybe you do through like Google keywords or whatever. What you always want to remember, like I talked about in the beginning, is people are going to do business with you because they like you, trust you, and you have their expertise that they need. And this is what you can communicate through your website. A great tool to market yourself. The other item you can set up from a social media standpoint for free is a Facebook business page. Just get it set up, put in your company logo if you have that access to that through your company. Get a nice description of you, nice pictures of you, maybe some nice pictures of the area. Initially, don't worry about promoting your Facebook business page. Just set it up and eventually you'll start getting some likes. I would never advertise on Facebook to generate likes. There's been a lot of controversy about that. the past couple years where people will advertise, especially some of the big companies, the Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, and then they end up getting a lot of likes from other parts of the world, but they're not getting any engagement. They're just getting a lot of generic likes. But just set up the page. Don't pay for any advertising. Just get it set up. Okay, so it's the first day in your office. Make yourself known. Go out, meet all the other agents in the office. When you have your company office meeting, make sure you go to those meetings so you can meet everybody. But make it a point. Reach out, go walk the halls, go meet all the agents. The really good thing about other agents in your office, some of them are going to help you. Some of them are going to be too busy and they're not going to help you, which is okay. But you want to make yourself known and go meet all the agents in the office. You want to be excited, show some enthusiasm. Hey, so I'm just starting out. I'm really excited. I'm really enthusiastic. Build relationships with the other agents. Be professional at all times. The other agents in your office can be a great resource for referrals, floor time. Floor time, most agents are going to have a schedule of when they're assigned to be on floor, when they can answer the phone, when a generic call comes in or a walk-in comes in. What I did when I first started out, I would talk to some of the agents, say, hey, do you work floor? If you're not interested, you're busy, let me have it. The other reason why it's good to know the other agents is that in the beginning, you want to start hosting some open houses. So when you host some open houses, and I've got a slide here, open houses are a great source of leads. Your first month, you should be hosting at least 4, one a weekend. It's a free source of marketing. Don't have any call reluctance and do it. Now, if you don't have any listings, this is why it's great to have good relationships with other agents in your office, and you can send out an email to everybody in the company and said, hey, I'm looking at hosting an open house. It's coming Sunday. Does anybody have a listing? I'd be happy to do it. And then what I would even do is I would go into the database in the MLS and I would try to find a strategic good listing from an agent in your office and then try to see if you can host that listing. Because if you can find something that's in like your market, your territory, then it's going to help you get your business off the ground even faster. And this is one of the things I talk about when you start with a company. It's always good to start with a company that has a lot of agents. You're not going to get that synergy when you start with a company that only has 3 agents in the office. Maybe you can look at 20, 30, 40 agents, and that would be good so you can be able to host open houses from some of their listings. You can learn from other agents. You can tag along with them. So when you start out, your managing broker, ideally, your managing broker should have a training program put together for you. And part of the program is to tag along with some of the other agents, maybe sit in on a listing presentation, sit in on an initial buyer meeting, go out on some buyer tours. Just be quiet. You're kind of you're just a wallflower there. You're not participating and you just want to listen and you want to take it all in, take good notes, and you can ask the other agents questions afterwards. Building confidence. I think it's important that you want to build confidence when you're new. And these are some of the exercises that you can do to build confidence. Role playing, extremely valuable. I did this early on in my sales career. I've done it recently, and I do it with some of the new agents. Role playing is a great way for you to practice, to hone your skills, and I always learn so much when I'm the customer. So if I'm in a buyer meeting and I'm the buyer and another agent is the realtor and we're doing a role play, I really feel what it's like to be the customer. But you want to practice both sides. Practice and role play in open house. I'll do another video in the future talking about how important it is to build rapport and build a relationship in a fast manner, or as my youngest daughter says, fastly. So you got to fastly build that relationship. Okay. Now, you've met the agents, you're networking with the agents, you're doing some role playing. Now, you need to start networking with your sphere. You need to reach out to your sphere either through handwritten notes with your business cards, personalized emails, phone calls, take some of them out to lunch, and just get out there, start networking with people. And people in your sphere are the best people to network with. And when you're building your database, this is where you're going to identify who are your sponsors, who are your champions, who are the people that are really going to help promote you and help you in your career. Take them out to lunch and really cultivate them. A word of caution. Do not join any leads groups. I predict what's going to happen. Some friend, somebody you know, is going to come up to you and say, "Hey, hey Bob, do you want to be in the in my leads group?" And what happens is you go to this leads group and you're going to have an insurance person, you're going to have a prepaid legal services, you're going to have a masseuse, you're going to have a CPA, you're going to have a chiropractor, you're going to have all these different service people. And what happens is they try to sell to each other. They're not leveraging their network of people that they know, because you can't sell a house to somebody in a meeting like that. What I have seen effective is agents who create their own leads group, and they can bring in who they want and make sure it's a good quality leads group. And you can determine, set the rules for how you're going to meet and how you're going to be able to exchange leads back and forth. The last slide here, remember, it's the leads. You don't get paid until you close. You need buyers and sellers. You got to be constantly filling your pipeline. That is the most important function. Don't forget this. It still applies to me today. Been doing this since 2002, 2003. If I get really busy and I'm working a lot of buyers, working a lot of listings, and then I'm not doing a lot of lead development, then what happens is I'm going to go through a dry patch. I'm going to go through a dry period. It's a classic roller coaster. We don't want to be in that roller coaster. So the most important function for all of us as realtors is building leads, building the pipeline. Always remember that. Okay, well, thanks for joining me here. Here's my information again. And feel free, if you haven't bought my book, go ahead and check it out on Amazon. Very, very helpful. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it. Listen to my podcast on iTunes, and then my website is there. Hit the like button on my videos. Share the videos with other people. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll be doing another video again soon. Okay, well, thanks. We'll talk soon.